Hello and welcome back to the World Pipelines podcast, a podcast series for pipeliners featuring short, insightful interviews with people in the oil and gas pipeline industry. I'm your host, Elizabeth Corner, and in this season of the podcast, I'm talking to people from membership associations for the pipeline sector. Throughout the series, we're exploring exactly what these associations do to move the midstream sector forwards and to support pipeliners all over the world.
The World Pipelines podcast is brought to you by TD Williamson. Looking for the safest inline isolation solution on the market? Look no further. The SmartPlug inline isolation system from TD Williamson delivers with double independent energized seals, giving you unmatched protection on every project. From maintenance to emergency repairs, the SmartPlug offers the safety and reliability that pipeline operators depend on. Ready to upgrade your next project? Visit tdw.red/smartplug to learn more.
For this episode, my guest is Josiah SooTot, who is chair at Young Pipeliners International, which we will refer to as YPI. Josiah is also a pipeline integrity engineer working at ExxonMobil. Hi, Josiah.
Hey.
Let's start off by talking about what YPI does for the pipeline industry and what are its main goals.
First of all, thanks for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate you reaching out and then us being able to do this as well. Young Pipelines International, YPI, is really a forum where a young pipeliners group from all over the world can really collaborate to share different experiences, best practices. YPI really, it's very diverse. We have YPP group, which is Young Pipeline Professionals group, ranging in North America, so US, Mexico, Canada, all the way to Australia, Europe, Asia as well, India, China, and then so forth. So really a platform we're able to help different groups within the young pipeline professionals to gain knowledge, gain sharing experiences, understanding the different facets of pipelines. And then really to be a vehicle, right, to help the next generation prepare as the transfer duty care in the pipeline industry.
A worthy goal. And I wonder, how does YPI collaborate with other industry associations and other organizations to help create opportunities for those young professionals?
Yeah, excellent question. YPI, by way of the various YPP regions, chapters we have across the world, really collaborates with the various organizations, naming a few. Clarion, which is the organizers of the annual Pipeline Pigging Integrity Management, PPIM conference in Houston, API, and then also ASME, which is American Society of Mechanical Engineer on the International Pipeline Conference, and also PTC, the technology conference in Berlin, to really organize various events and awards. If I can name one, it would be the Young Achievement Awards that is annually awarded to high and energetic young professionals, right? To really encourage participation, being really the medium to engage with the different organizations, to leverage networking opportunity, and then just really creating various learning opportunity with our younger professionals.
Yes, and as some listeners might know, World Pipelines has a working relationship with YPI, whereby we help to celebrate and recognize the annual winners of that award, the Award for Young Achievement. I always really enjoy talking to the recipients of the award about how they found themselves working in the pipeline sector, where they see their careers going. What kind of programs or initiatives does YPI offer to help early career professionals grow in the pipeline sector?
Oh, another excellent question. If I may add, YPI by way of the local YPP chapters across the board, across the world, really, we will do various targeted learnings, right? One example that I can bring on is a monthly webinars, for example, from the YPP USA team, right? That will really bring in industry leading speakers on various topics. It can range from, the technical topics or leadership topics that, every month we try to stack up and then really invite and open it for free to our members to really plug in and then really pick golden nuggets from it, right? And then also serve as a opportunity for younger professionals to have a contact in the industry, to know who to reach out for future references, future need help, guidance, mentorship, etc. And on top of that, we also do happy hour events, various workshops throughout the year. And then I also am very involved in the YPP USA organization. So also do an annual symposium, for example, that would really serve various platforms and opportunity for younger professionals to be plugged into the pipeline sector.
You mentioned networking. How important is in-person networking within YPI, and also mentorship as well? How does that work for you?
In terms of the broader in-person networking, obviously, because we're all spread out throughout the world, we try to leverage several opportunities to meet up with at least some groups within YPI in like annual conferences, right? Like PPIM or IPC or PTC, so that we can gather, have that knowledge sharing, have couple of drinks, have fun at the same time. And then I find it personally is very important in this day and era where the in-person networking really competes in a space with the likes of the Zoom and the team. But I personally think that, the in-person network really connect, whether it's emotionally or various other avenue that don't necessarily have over the Zoom meeting.
So you have this membership base, you've got this cohort of, I think, under 35s, is that right? Yeah. And what can you do for those young professionals to help them stay informed about what's going on in their industry, how to stay ahead, how to get ahead?
Yeah, it's another great question. Throughout our various organizations throughout the world, we really try to be very targeted in terms of learnings. So really spread things into two different buckets, the career mentorship or leadership kind of pathway. So we would have targeted webinars and mentorship program that will help younger professionals be able to relate and then really chart out a path for them in terms of the career development, right? Whether it's the technical route or whether being a supervisory or management in a respective organization. So that is really one avenue. We do it by way of either formal or informal mentorship, right? Once you get into a cohort or organization, those discussion can happen a little bit more natural. Secondly, we also do a little bit more of a informal technical learning by way of some sort of workshop, some sort of symposium, whereby, the latest integrity trend or technical knowledge can be shared on a high level, obviously, and then to the younger professionals. From there, really try to jot the younger professionals so that they can really know what various directions in their career that they want to pursue, right?
And as chair, you must talk to a lot of pipeline professionals who are in the beginning of their journey or the middle of their career. What do you think are the biggest challenges facing those young professionals in the pipeline industry today?
Yeah, I think a few challenges. If I make be candid, just talking to the various aspects within the industry in terms of knowledges and experiences, right? In a younger professional time frame, obviously in this day and era, we're part of the ever changing, ever evolving energy business, which is very critical to the world. Really, I think the biggest challenge here is to be able to not necessarily, I don't want to use the word compete, but to really try to get the best brains out there and then really to lure, if I may, younger professional to be in the pipeline industry, also in the energy industry. As this day and era, we really see younger professionals really easily gravitates to the technologies and AI companies of the world, right? So the Apple, the Googles, and whatnot, right? So it is, if I may, it's really that big part of it. But we're seeing in the last couple of years, the trend start to reverse a little bit. We can, we see a lot of bright engineers or bright young professionals coming back to the energy / the pipeline industry. So which is very encouraging.
That is great to hear. And I wonder what this new generation of pipelines is bringing to the sector that perhaps isn't there at the moment or that needs more focus? Is there something that they are very good at bringing to help us solve what are some big challenges ahead.
Yeah, definitely. The younger generation now, the younger professional, obviously they have a lot more proficient in terms of the latest and greatest trend, whether it's leveraging AI or leveraging the various platforms and softwares that we exist now that don't necessarily exist, 15, 20 years ago. So really, I can definitely see huge advantage in the industry, really to leverage those skill sets that these young professionals bring in. And then their way of thinking as well, right? The ability to think outside the box, right? To really challenge the convention. I think, to a certain extent, it's very necessary to really propel this industry forward, to really change the dynamic of things, to not being labeled as, oh yeah, it's a conservative, boring industry, right? To switch it around and be really a innovative, fun, and then cutting edge industry as well. So definitely a few points there that we can learn actually from the younger generation.
And do you see any shifts in the industry that are particularly exciting? You've mentioned AI, that must be one of them. And then anything that is particularly concerning for the next generation of professionals that might stop them from either joining the industry or from staying in the industry?
Yeah, so to answer the first point, it's been to stay in the industry on exciting projects, right? I think as we evolve in a new direction within the energy industry, try to definitely the two topics that really stands out for me, at least, it would be the CO2 and hydrogen space, right? I think it is a lot of operators out there it's very exciting news looking into carbon sequestration and storage and hydrogen piping and whatnot. So that is definitely a space, and it serves a very noble cause as well, right? Try to obviously lower the global emission footprint and whatnot. So I think that would really be a forefront of the industry, and then the younger generations obviously can relate to and then stay plugged in on that. And to your second question on some of the challenges to it, right? I think I mentioned in my previous statement as well, it would be one of those things we, as YPI or YP different across the world, just really be the bridge and then really change the narrative a little bit in terms of the industry. The pipeline sector is really a fun place to be with, right? We have various activities. It is a stable industry, right? It has a very worthy cause to ensure that energy gets transported, and then that way we can lift people up the entire world with energy. Yeah, so I think the messaging there is vital as well. And then we're actually quite fun, really.
That is very good to hear. I always do get the sense that you are quite fun at YPI.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, you're telling people that they can have a chance to save the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, what advice would you give to young engineers and people looking to establish a career in pipelines?
Yeah, another great question. My advice and my personal experience as well is to really stay, first of all, open mind. I understand coming up from college, first couple of years in the industry, on the workspace, really, that's going to be a little of a shift, a little bit of changing, but maintaining open mind is really vital, in my opinion. Also staying hungry, be the best at the current job, whatever it may entail, and then really to be adaptive, to learn the various technology, various evolution within the industry, and then to really go out there. And I think more importantly, to also work hard, but also have fun. That will really be, in my opinion, be a more integral part of work as well. And then that what I've observed is tend to have a little bit more of a positive impact, especially in the long term in the pipeline industry.
You must see a lot of success stories. You must be celebrating your members all the time. In terms of career development, do those connections that people make endure? Do people stay in touch after they have left YPI, after they've moved on in their career? Is that something that helps people as they move up in the sector?
Yes, definitely. I've heard many success story whereby a younger engineer within YPP, YPI, and then just really make those connections with industry leaders, right? With industry mentors are usually at a mid or later career phase. And then just really pick their brains and nuggets, right? I think those really sped up those individuals. And then as they move up, they continue to stay connected, even though they're quote unquote age out of YPI, they did tend to really still continue to stay plugged in, give back, and then give their time and effort via mentorship or be in various discussion, leading webinars and whatnot. So that is very, very common, and I see the continued process and progression of some of these individuals, and then giving back to the industry as well. Huge kudos to a lot of them.
You've touched on this a little, but I wonder if you have anything else to say about the most valuable skills for young pipeliners. If you're going to be a successful pipeliner, what do you need to have in your toolkit in order to do well?
Yeah, to really touch on a little bit more on what I just said earlier as well. Obviously, being open, but also try to learn the different facets of the industry as well, right? Whether it's operations, whether it's integrity, the low carbon transportation space, the hydrogen space, that would really help shape individuals to be a more all-rounder, right? And then having the right attitude and mindset, right? Staying humble, staying hungry, and then also network, always find the opportunity to learn the latest and greatest from different avenues. Why it really serves as a good platform for all this knowledge sharing and the best practices, get to know people, lean on your mentorships to really propel an individual forward in a shorter time frame.
You mentioned that YPI is the umbrella company that then within that you've got your regional groups. How does YPI foster global collaboration and knowledge sharing? Because you've got a lot of ground to cover there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. So, as a international organization, what we would do is we would have very regular touch points among the various YPP groups across the world. It is something that we do quite often to really talked about some of the challenges that one region has, for example, some of the successes that the other regions will have, and see there are some of these best practices, knowledge can then be cross-collaborate, right, so that it would help the other regions as well. That's really where we would sit down and discuss issues like this, share successes. I think I find it very helpful to help other regions, especially the other regions that has new YPP group, for example.
Yeah, I did want to ask you about the regional differences, but in terms of career opportunities. So where in the world are we seeing a lot of opportunity? Where are you focused in that sense?
I think overall, really, as the world needs more energy, and then we all established that pipeline is really probably the safest way to transport energy, and probably most cost effective as well, right? Throughout the world, we really see opportunity arises and career opportunity arises. And then obviously the more mature countries like North America and stuff, obviously with regulations and everything else, it tends to be a little bit more stable and then on an uptrend. But I also observe countries like India and China and Morocco really have an uptake as well, right? As the entire world continue to mature and continue to grow, which also equates to higher energy demand, which also equates to potentially more pipelines in the ground. So definitely a lot of opportunity there. Anyway, in terms of challenges as well, right? The more mature market in the past tend to have a little bit more of a more structured regulations and whatnot. So in the UK and EU and North America, so some of these best practices, regulations and whatnot can be sometimes a challenge, right, for a up and coming kind of nation, for example.
So it's about navigating the different challenges wherever you are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then where do you see YPI in 5 or 10 years? How do you hope to see its impact grow?
Yeah, really a great question. In 5 or 10 years, if I have the magic ball, and I really see YPI, growing in a sense to really stretch out our tentacles a little bit more to other parts of the world, right? Really be a beacon for younger professionals to know that it is a safe space to share some stuff, to collaborate, to get to know people, and then to really see those continue to perpetuate into some accelerated growth and learnings to our other regions as well. And then really to see a better collaboration across the entire world, because we really do believe that we want to make sure that the pipeline industry is safe, and then be an organization to be able to a part of it, I think it's essential. And I think YPI have a role to play there.
And what's the best way to reach out to YPI or to stay up to date on what activities are happening?
Yeah, so we're on various social media, whether it's LinkedIn. We also have our YPI website as well. Feel free to reach out to us. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, so feel free to connect with me. Obviously, there's this plenty of avenues. We'll have representatives at the major conferences, whether it's PPIM, IPC, PTC. Really good opportunity to meet some of y'all, excited to meet some of y'all, and then really see where we can collaborate further.
Thank you so much, Josiah.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks to Josiah at YPI for sharing the unique goals of Young Pipeliners International and for giving us a taste of what it's like to be a young pipeline professional in 2025. Thanks for listening to the World Pipelines podcast. Subscribe for free wherever you get your podcasts. If you have enjoyed this episode, please rate and review and forward to a colleague or friend.
The World Pipelines podcast is brought to you by TD Williamson. Looking for the safest inline isolation solution on the market? Look no further. The SmartPlug inline isolation system from TD Williamson delivers with double independent energized seals, giving you unmatched protection on every project. From maintenance to emergency repairs, the SmartPlug offers the safety and reliability that pipeline operators depend on. Ready to upgrade your next project? Visit tdw.red/smartplug to learn more.